Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Project Doc. I am your host, Brian Locke. This is my new camera setup. It's a little bit high compared to the last one, so I need to look up a bit higher, and I don't really even see my screen that well when I do. So most of the time, I'll probably be looking here. Oh yes, perfect. I can hear myself again. This is what you get for having like a million tabs open. Here we go. Found the right one. That is like just that's part of the charm of this show is that Brian does a thing where he can hear himself. So yep, hello everybody. I've moved the project doc to Saturday for the moment to see how it goes. Mainly because I was finding Mondays really hard to do. Mainly because it was just hard to kind of get the thing organized and tweet out about it and stuff like that on a Monday when I was working. And yeah, it was just a bit stressful to do that. So yes, we're going to do it on Saturdays for today anyways, and we'll see how it goes. It was definitely much easier to organize and stuff. And it seems like we've got a good group of people who are looking to present stuff as well. So yeah, maybe it works out better for people, but I'd be interested to hear what people think. Okay, so first up we have Mr. Optimization, Larry Bank. Hello, Larry.
Hey guys.
Right, Larry, you have a nice project that you want to talk about. What do you have for us?
All right. So I've been working with Aaron Christoffel on a electronic shelf label project, which is he got interested in this quite a while ago. These electronic price tags that you see in supermarkets sometimes, he found that the local supermarket was using them, and then he got hold of a bunch of them. I don't know how he bought them or got a friend to give him some. And there he discovered that they use a hub to control them and transmit messages across the airwaves using 868 megahertz. And he was able to figure out that he could use these inexpensive TI CC 1101 modules that cost like $2 each to talk to these displays. And then he went on this adventure of reverse engineering the RF protocol and the bitmap format. And I joined this project a little late, but I was able to help him figure out the imaging side a little better and helped him write some of the code for that. But he's put in hundreds of hours to figure this out. So his idea was to take an ESP32 and create an asynchronous web server, and then from there he could, like, in real time sort of test and poke at the displays and see how they responded. And so that's the basis of the software that I started modifying. And then recently I added some code to allow it to transmit like a text box from a web page, form that the text with my imaging library, and then send it onto the display. So I've got it turned on here. Let me see if this one will transmit happily now. The problem is they don't always get synchronization. So let's see if I can send a command. So each one is assigned an ID number. So this one is ID number 4. So let me send a command to number 4 to just erase itself and see if it works.
Yep, and erased itself, and yes.
And then it has a command to restore the last image from flash memory. So it keeps it in flash memory. It's a very wimpy CPU. So if I restore the image, let's see. Did that work? Yeah. So it just redisplayed what it had inside flash memory. So there's a bunch of commands you can send to these things to get like the temperature and get the memory, get the battery life left. And the little ones use these sealed batteries that I ended up having to crack it open. Like the back is sealed, there's no way in. So this one I just sliced open with a knife and almost cut myself. And then I took a different approach with this one. I just used the nibbling tool and just cut the back off.
That's a good idea. Yeah?
It was kind of nasty of them. Like once the batteries die in this, you throw it away, which is really not nice.
Yeah.
But the bigger one has just a nice screwed on battery cover with AAA. So that one is
Nice.
a lot more environmental friendly. And the e-ink ones, which are the newer models, like this one's thinner, but it has, I think, 7 CR2032 batteries in it, so a little more
Oh, really?
expensive to power it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can restore the image on this one. I like the LCD ones better because the e-ink, it just sits there flashing at you forever. It takes a while to update. Let's see.
E-inks are traditionally quite slow to update anyways, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't
So,
bad at all.
well, once we get there, it's okay. Then it does this little flash thing where it's gonna flicker for a while. Because
What's it doing there?
there's the flicker. It's yellow and black. And
Okay.
so the yellow layer is a tricky thing to reset. And then now it's done.
Okay. It's just that like that image looked like it was there 10 seconds before it was finished. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
well,
it's working on the two. It has 2 sets of memory. It has the black and white memory, and then it has the yellow memory. And then it like sets up the black memory, and it has to. I don't know. E-ink is black magic to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, my ultimate goal is to just create a set of simple functions that people can use to generate a cool image on the fly on their at least ESP32 and easily send it. So right now we're sort of halfway there with this text box kind of thing. But I don't know if I have the time to write like a full weather display, forecast. And I also had the idea of taking the Google Calendar entries and doing some kind of, remote calendar so I can share it with the family. Anyway, there's still lots to do with content creation, but the back end kind of stuff is almost to the point where we can make it easy for people to jump in.
Yeah, I think that's like it'd be very difficult to make something that suits everybody in terms of like the end result, like is a calendar or whatever. Like everybody will have their own little sort of things that they want to sort out. But once the back end is there, if it's available for people to build on top of, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. And one of the things I'm doing is enhancing my old 1-bit display library, which is meant for like OLEDs and LCDs. So it's generating all those images with custom fonts, but the bit orientation is wrong. Like I have the bits, LSB, MSB, upside down, whatever. So I'm making a function that lets you just take the output of my library and tell it how you want it. You want it, MSB on the left, MSB on the right. You want the bytes vertical, you want the bytes horizontal, you want rotated. So it's going to be a do-all single function. So you can use my library to generate the black and white image for any of these displays and it'll look correct.
Yeah, that's great. So if people want to, I know it's not fully finished yet, but like, is there a good place to kind of keep up with how the project is going, or are you just kind of doing it together privately first? Or
it was private at first, and then Aaron shared it publicly not too long ago. So let me get you the link to that.
Yeah, I can update the description or whatever if somebody's watching this back. But I have a feeling these price tags are like they're quite cheap at the moment, right? Or sorry, you were saying, are the big ones cheap in the US and the small ones are cheap in the EU, or was it something like that? Oh, we seem to have lost Larry.
For whatever
this
reason,
happened.
There's some vendors.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I got it. There's some vendors on eBay that are selling these for $4 each if you buy a set of 5. So $20 will get you 5 with free shipping.
Wow.
And you can't beat that. I mean, $4 each. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But a similar set of vendors on eBay are selling these for $40 each, which is not so nice.
Yeah.
And the little ones I can't even get in America. So I bought them directly from Aaron, and it took 3 months to arrive. These.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say if you're in America, this is the one. These are 900RB is the name. It's yeah, you can see the model right there.
I have a
ZB.
feeling there's going to be a rush for them at some stage, if it hasn't already started.
Yeah. Yeah, so just search on ZBD 900RB on eBay, and there's like 3 vendors that are still selling them. And they don't guarantee that they work, but they work.
Nice. Yeah.
The worst, I had 5 and they all work. The worst was one was missing the battery cover and had battery corrosion. I scraped it off and it works fine.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
Not much to fail in it, really. It's just the batteries go dead or the thing gets obsolete and people throw it away, but it should last.
Yeah. You'd imagine they're pretty robust. Okay. Yeah. So Larry, if anybody, you've got your own stuff going on as well, other than this thing. If anybody wants to follow what you do you have a place you recommend to follow you or check out your stuff? Or
yeah, Twitter is probably the best place to follow my projects. I have a blog and I have Arduino libraries and things. Like this weekend, I'm going to be working again with the OpenMV camera. He's actually integrating my JPEG decoder. So he has hardware JPEG on some models, but he wants a fast software JPEG decoder for other reasons. So I'm integrating my my library into that.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, Larry. Would you mind just sharing the link, or not even the link, the name in the Discord, and I can update the chat? Or
okay,
whatever.
Sure. In the private chat here, I put the Aaron.
Okay, perfect.
It's a public repo now, so everybody can use it. So the only thing you need to make use of it is that CC1101 module. It's the 868 megahertz version, and it's like, I think on the repo, I think there's in the README talking about all this. So you need to spend like $2 on that part. You need an ESP32 and a display.
Yep. Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you so much, Larry.
Sure.
We've a full house, so I need to keep it down to 10 minutes this time. So yeah, thanks a lot, Larry, and I'll catch you again. It's good to talk to you.
Thanks, Brian. Bye, guys.
Right, that was Larry talking about the price tags. We'll get confirmation on the models and stuff for us to all search. I want to buy them first before I'm sure somebody in the chat can update it. I think it was 900 RB, but yeah. Okay, so thank you, Larry. Next we have Doc Regular. We got Braden. Hello, Braden.
Hey, good day. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, cool. I'll make this quick. So you can see, easiest way to show this. So this is a Portaprog board. And what it does is it starts out as one of these, and I think everybody's seen these. This is a really inexpensive TT Go. It's got an ST7889, I think it is. It's a 240 by 135 little display on it. And it's got 2 buttons. The biggest, and it also has support for a LiPo on the back, and you can put a battery on it and stuff. My biggest problem with this initially is there's no on-off button. There's no way to power it off. They assume you're going to use the sleep function, and ESP32 has problems with the sleep library. So my first attempt was to, and actually this one's got little bodges on it. You can see the little wires. What I did was I pulled out, there's a tiny resistor on it that uses a pull-up for the reset to basically get it to wake up. And by removing that, they gave me a pad that I could solder to and create the initial Portaprog. Now, if you look at the original one, you can see there's a bunch of solder points just above and below the display. And those are standard, 0.1 headers. I didn't like the look of that. So when I created the next version of it, I tried something, and it actually worked pretty well. I just put SMD pads on the back, and if I use low temperature solder, this worked really well. But when I switched to lead free, so it's what's the most common one? Is it SAC 305? I think it is. It became much harder to solder. But I tried it anyways. And then the next problem was to get the top buttons up here, what I'm actually doing is overriding the default buttons that are on here. And so the last version of it, you can see I actually removed those buttons completely, and then I wrote them. That works great, but it gets to the point where I'm putting way too much labor in modifying the existing board.
Yeah.
And so that's why I haven't actually productized it. What I'm waiting on is Adafruit has done a preview. They're planning to do an ESP32 Feather with that display on it and those buttons, and it will have the ability to power it and everything else. And so what I think I'm going to do is wait for that to come out, and then I can just create a board with no bodges on it, no modification, and I'll just open source the board. Anybody who wants to pick up a board, they can, and then they can just solder it all together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I wanted to also just give a quick review or a quick show. Let's see if this will work. It's a little blown out. There we go. Switch to here. So this is the Portaprog hooked up to my, basically this is my test and programming jig. So I have one of these modules right here for each one of the objects I'm working on. And what I now do is just go to the screen real quick.
Yep.
Oops. Transition to screen. There we go. So what I now do with each project, there we go. With each project, I have a little command script that will upload my smoke test, upload the final production code, and upload a config file. And what the config file does, if I can find it here, there we go. What the config file does is it actually reprograms the 3 buttons. So as you remember, there were 3 buttons across.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly transition back for a second. So on each one of the Portaprogs, move this down a little, there's a navigation button. So this lets me go down through the menus.
Yep.
And then these 3 buttons here are actually all programmable. So by default, I think the program for this button is, the default is it gives you the help text. But you can configure those to be anything you want. And so what I actually do is I configure 1 button to load the smoke test, 1 button to load the production work, and then I can simply drop a board in, hit 1 button, runs the smoke test. Smoke test is successful or failed. If it's successful, then I immediately press the next button, and it flashes the final software, and then I can just move on to the next board.
Nice.
So that's where I'm at. So for those who are looking for a productization, I'm probably going to hold off primarily because it's the TT Go board is really inexpensive, but by the time I put all the time in to modify it to get it to what I need it to do, I think I'm hitting a price point that just isn't justified, and that's kind of hard to offer up. So I'm going to wait for Adafruit to come out with their board and then just leverage it directly.
Would you have any interest in, like, so I haven't done any ESP32 development boards before, and I'm in the middle of doing sort of one now, and now I realize why I haven't. Like, there's just so much stuff. I'm like, it's so much easier to just drop in a board and let them worry about USB to serial and all that sort of stuff. But I have one to hand here. But like, you can get the TFT screens for pretty cheap. So that's the ST7789. So it's a 240 by 240 color TFT screen. And like, this board here is literally just, I won't focus now, but it's literally just, there's a few resistors, a transistor for the backlight, and a cap. And like, it's potentially an option to get a random ESP32 board that you like the look of or size of or anything of, and build the just the screen part. So on the Portaprog PCB, you'd have like the screen and your buttons and all that sort of stuff, and it's potentially an option. Like they're $2 each in low quantities. The ST7789, and they're like, the BOM is absolutely nothing for them. It's just so it's potentially an option. The one problem I have with this is to keep the size down. I'm using surface mount headers, and they're actually relatively expensive. Not crazy expensive or anything, but I think they could be 20 cents each, maybe.
Yeah.
As in there's some, they're not cheap anyways.
Yeah, actually I know, because I'm using a surface mount right angle header over here on this side.
Yeah.
The problem I'm running into, because I've actually purchased a number of pre-existing boards, but by the time I want, the LiPo charger and the LiPo connection and an on-off switch,
Yeah.
it's amazing how many of the different vendors have decided to implement an on-off switch different ways. So even TT Go, they've got one board where the on-off switch cuts the power from the LDO to the rest of the system, which actually is pretty good, because then you can charge it while it's off.
Yeah.
Another one, the on-off switch actually changes it sends a signal to the LDO, which is what this one does.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, when I run the switch that's right here,
Yep.
that's actually affecting the LDO directly. That LDO has got, I think, 6 pins on it, and one of them's an enable.
Yeah. So it's turning off the LDO.
Yeah. And, and so they all do it differently, but the vast majority of them don't even have an on-off switch at all anymore.
Yeah.
And so, or they have an on-off switch, but they don't have the charging circuit. So I've really been struggling trying to find a board that does exactly what I want. And so when Adafruit said, back in January, that they're basically going to, and the other great thing about that board is it's going to have PS RAM, so it'll support CircuitPython and everything else.
That'll be an ESP32S2.
Yes.
Then, right? Yeah. Will your Portaprog work? Okay. Sure. It's just.
Yeah. I'll probably have to. I'll have to recompile it. But the hardest part actually in writing the Portaprog wasn't the ESP32 code. It was actually implementing SPI programming and UDPI programming on an ESP32.
Yeah.
And that actually turned into a lot of the biggest one was the UDPI on most of the new Atmel chips. If you have serial connected up at the same time, there's enough bleed through in power on the serial connection to keep the chip alive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so it would never go into program mode.
Yeah.
So what I finally ended up doing is this programmer, what it actually has is it has an NPN on the ground side. And so it literally just it disables the ground going to your attached board, and then it always works. That's how I was able to get UDPI to work.
That's interesting. Braden, we're at time.
Yep, go for it.
So thanks so much for coming on and showing off the project again. Looking forward to seeing what happens with when that feather comes out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the feather too.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much for showing us again. Okay, I'll talk to you again. Right, so that was Braden. Another person who has troubles with people pronouncing his name. I'm hoping I pronounced it right. If anyone follows me on Twitter, I caused a bit of a stir with a tweet today about people not pronouncing my name right, but that was not my intention, but it's fine. Next up, we have Andrew Rogers. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going?
You have a very impressive background.
Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. So like I'm sure many of you in your personal lives or professional lives through the last 14 months, your proportion of time spent in video calls has exploded, which is what has certainly happened to mine. So I don't know if it's a condemnation of the quality of the calls I'm in that I thought I needed more entertainment. But regardless, I decided a few weeks ago to kind of spend a few weekends working on just some fun stuff in for my background. So the way my office workshop is laid out, my electronics workbench is behind me when I'm sitting at my desk. So there's a collection of, regular electronics bench stuff you would expect to see. But the stuff I'm, really talking about today are these large LED medallions, the large one and the small one, and then the little stick, which
is the stick, it's activated by my voice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice. Because I was looking I saw it moving originally, and then I was looking at it. It hasn't moved, but I haven't said anything either. So,
so yeah, the 3 LED items are each have a dedicated ESP8266 controller, a WeMOS D1 mini board, and then the actual communication of the state of the audio system and all that stuff just happens via a Python script. So I figured I would I think I did a little video talking about what it was once a few weeks ago, but I haven't really dove into how it works. So I was just going to walk through quick view of the code real quick, and then show the interface that I use to control it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me put my screen share back on, if I can get it to work. There it goes. It's being slow. Not that one. There we go.
I haven't. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Perfect. So
can you make it a small bit bigger?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I used to stream a little bit. I don't stream too much anymore, but like all my all my editors enough, right? For a while was huge. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
All right. So I'll get into this a little bit more, but you'll see here I'm using the UDP library, and that's actually how I'm getting the state for the audio into the ESP8266s. That way, this is all just happening over Wi-Fi in my office. So if stuff gets dropped, I didn't want any like TCP overhead or, and probably like the right way to do this is to just shove audio out and use the analog levels. But I really wanted to do it over the network, and so this is what I'm doing. I'm a big fan of the EMB Ajax library. If you've used that or not, I'll show you. I've
never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's a super simple way to build web UIs for ESP32s and ESP8266s. So you just instantiate these different types of inputs with their variables and the options, and then you build your config page basically just by concatenating all these different elements together with either static HTML or the reference to the actual objects. And then your page handler, you just basically register that. If you wanted to use routing or something, you could have a different page on each one. This is just a very simple single page UI. So very simple stuff. These just support a few different, using the NeoPixel library, NeoPixel bus library. They support a few different kind of color formats. I'll show you what that looks like. Just kind of basic helper stuff here. One thing I did do was using the EEPROM emulator for the ESP to store the state. So once I get them set up the way I like, I can save that state. And then every time I power up my bench, they come back on the same way.
What's an EEPROM emulator?
I'm maybe using that the wrong way. I mean, if you use the EEPROM library on an ESP, there's no such thing as an EEPROM. It's just storing it in the flash, a part of it. So you basically, when you instantiate the EEPROM, you tell it how much flash to assign. So here I'm giving it, I think, 256 bytes. And then once that's done, I can treat it like it's really an EEPROM, but it's really just storing stuff in flash.
Oh, okay.
So, and that lets you use, what I like about it is it lets me just build this one struct and use this simple syntax to shove that struct into the EEPROM and retrieve it as I need.
Yeah, cool.
So that's the code. let me, and then these are what the controllers look like. So again, very simple. You can see this, it was in a chasing mode. I just switched to fade, and it goes to.
I'm sure there must be a way for me to get you and
screen big.
that thing to be.
We make that a little bigger
like
too.
Nobody wants to see. I can't. I don't think I can change that. But can I swap to you? I have to be able to swap to you. No. I'll keep it this way for now.
So again, just super simple. Swirl, fade. I can change the speed here. I think these are actually in reverse right now. I always have that problem where like I make the slider control the interval and then get the numbers backwards.
Yeah, especially when it's an internal project as well. You're just like, I know how to use it. So.
Exactly. But yeah, you can change colors. Yeah, and then if I wanted to keep that, I could save the state. I can change the swirl count so that there's more little. So yeah, just fun stuff. I didn't want to take everything apart, but the actual physical things I think are kind of interesting. One thing I learned a long time ago, which I haven't seen a lot of people use, is the stick is you can buy pool noodles in a white material. And if you put a strip of WS-2811s against like a 1-inch, oh, there we go.
This is a green one though.
Okay, but you can get them in white
ones of these.
Yes,
okay.
You can get white. And then the thing that I learned on this project, because the main problem I had when I started this was everything I did not show up in the video because my office is pretty well lit. And I had like white diffuser material. And so I got gray, like medium gray kite fabric. And so I wrapped the pool noodle in the medium gray kite fabric for the stick. And then the medallions are basically rolled aluminum 3/4 inch like 20 millimeter by 5 millimeter aluminum rounds that I rolled, and then stretched the kite fabric over them. So that makes a good diffuser. Yeah. And then I use landscaping mylar behind it to give it some, to let it reflect and look a little more even. So
do you like cut the pool noodle, or what do you do?
I put the strip on a piece of PVC pipe on the outside of the PVC pipe, and like use wire cable ties on either end so it like stays in place, and then just shove the pipe through the pool noodle.
So you just kind of pierced it basically.
Yep. Oh, yours is solid.
Mine is pretty solid, yeah. So you've got a gap in the middle of yours.
Yeah, the pool noodles that we have are they have like a 25 or 30 millimeter open core. Must be cheaper to make that way.
Yeah, I don't know. This is stupid. Why do I have a pool noodle to hand? But my daughter was in her earlier, so I don't know what she had the pool noodle for, but yeah, that's weird. But that's a really cool idea, because that's that effect that you have there is really nice. As in, I don't know if I've seen sort of that kind of diffused. It looks fake. When you
I get that a lot. People think I did all this crazy 3D modeling and software to have a virtual zoom background. I'm like, no, I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just the pool noodle looks like it's fake. The other stuff, I was like, maybe it's a virtual background, and then I was like, it doesn't look like a virtual background. It doesn't have the telltale sign of.
It's too messy. It looks like a real workbench.
Yeah, exactly.
The other cool effect that I did not anticipate or plan, but I actually end up really liking, is the ripstop in the kite nylon gives this you see the kind of diamond pattern in the medallion. Yeah, I really like that. And it's not something I would have planned or knew would happen, but it's a function of the ripstop pattern in the nylon.
It looks great. Yeah, no, that pool noodle was freaking me out to begin with. I was like, wow, that looks so fake.
Well, the first time I used the pool noodle, I actually built a pretty large. I have a payphone on a robot base. That's a old art project. But when I was prototyping that, I just was like putting random stuff on this robot base I was building, and so that's where I first did the pool noodle trick with the LEDs. So I put a mast, like the pool noodle mast, on this robot, and then use the an accelerometer to drive the LEDs, so that like every time it moved, it would shift rainbow colors and stuff. And then did some long exposures, just like driving it around a park at night. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, pool noodles are great diffusers if you can get, like, I've not ever seen them in a store in white, but you can order them on Amazon or wherever. So I assume they're fairly available.
How many LEDs per meter? Like, what's the density of the strip in the pool noodle?
It's probably a one of the denser ones. What is it? 144?
I think it's 60. Is it 60 per meter?
No, there's denser than 60.
Is there? You don't need to take it apart now.
So these, I think, are 30, probably 30 per meter, and then whatever this is.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty dense.
Yeah.
Is that 120? Maybe some 144.
I think is what it is 144. Yeah. And I think these are APA 102s, not APS 2811. So
that's so cool.
It was a fun project. Thanks for letting me show it off.
No problem at all. My thoughts around the pool noodle thing now is you could build like a giant 7-segment display.
Oh, like, wow. Yeah, you could.
Possibly the biggest 7-segment display. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Thanks for showing that off, Andrew. Do you said you made a video, did you, on it? Do you want to say where people can catch up with your stuff or whatever?
Probably Twitter is the best place for that. I'm not regular about it. I'm not it just kind of happens. So there's no, I wouldn't recommend anybody go follow my YouTube or anything, because
I'm not regular about it either. So, or at least that's what it seems like at the moment. So are you Ace Drew on Twitter?
On Twitter. Yep, that's right.
Okay. So Ace Drew on Twitter, if you want to check it out. And thank you so much, Andrew.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay. So Maiko, he is on the Discord. He's Ace Drew as well. Ace Drew. I'm going to write a comment, send it, and then show it. So that's if you want to follow on Twitter, that's where you get it. Dave Darko is the only person who can post a link. If that's what we do. The biggest 7-segment challenge. Maybe that has to be up there if you made it out of pool noodles. Like you'd run out of LEDs quicker. Like this thing is just a standard pool noodle, and it's 1.5 meters maybe. So if you were doing 144 LEDs per meter, and they each take up 60 milliamps, and you needed 7 of these, that would be a lot. Because presumably you want to make more than one as well. So that would be a lot. Yes, probably. I don't know. So if anybody else is interested in joining, you can just tag me on. You can tag me in the Discord. The link is in the description to join the Discord. So if you just @BrianL, you will get me, and then I'll put you through to the special Project Doc waiting area, and then I will. You'll see the link to join the StreamYard or the Duck. Do you like my new camera? I don't really have it set up right, I don't think. Like surely there is a streaming mode on it, or a webcam mode. I think I just have it on regular photo mode. It isn't, so I have the viewfinder twisted out to the side of it, and I don't see anything on the screen now, but when I focus it or anything, there is like part of the UI, shows up or whatever. So I have it like cropped out. I've zoomed it in OBS to get me here. The background is a bit fuzzy. I guess that'll happen when it's focused on me. Like if it was focused on the background, it would. But like I'm happy enough for the background to be fuzzy, because that means if I have an address or anything over there, you won't be able to see it. Yeah, loving the bokeh. So for anyone who doesn't know, bokeh is that effect of like, there's a sort of blur. See, yeah, the microphone could be sharper than me because I was sort of closer when I clicked the focus button. Like it's quite far away from me at the moment. Like I'm not touching that now. So it's out of arm's reach. Like it has a port where you can connect to. I'm hoping that you can maybe focus it from that. Yeah, I really haven't played with it at all. So Rob Carter has done the maths, 12.6 amps per segment. That's a lot. That is a lot. Yeah, bokeh. Yeah, bokeh is where the focus is different on stuff behind, as far as I know. Yeah, so I noticed that too. There was a big prop in the back of Braden's background, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm in on this largest 7-segment challenge. Yeah, I guess, does Bidlooney win at the moment? He could just do it with his wall. That doesn't really count as a 7-segment. Yeah, Braden has 25 meters of strips and a 60 amp supply. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Yeah, like I've done absolutely nothing with this camera other than just plug it into the HDMI. I also think, I don't know if it's a StreamYard thing or what, but like it looks okay on OBS, but like when I'm looking at the preview of StreamYard, my voice doesn't seem to sync with my with the picture. So I don't know if that's right or wrong, but yeah, it looks fine on OBS, or at least looks better on OBS. So there's a bit of a delay. I don't know. Yeah, I think the largest 7-segment I've done at the moment is probably the shoelace one I did. I really liked that. I had planned to like bring that forward. Yeah, what would that? Did I must have wrote that up or did a video on it. Did I? Am I going to say a shoelace 7-segment? It was light pipe 7-segment. Light pipe 7-segment. Oh, I wrote it up on Instructables anyways, and I did a video about it too. Is Robin going to show off his RGB pad? Well, I can't control what anybody does, but it certainly does look cool. Yeah, Robin has said about like the limited run he's going to do for the vacuum pump to begin with, and I'm beginning to wonder whether it's going to be enough. Because it would be something I'd be interested in too. So I'm one, and I know at least one other person on Twitter. So it's starting to get smaller. Yeah, that light pipe 7-segment, I really liked that. But the assembly of it was awful. Both the finished, like, as in it was a short waiting to happen. And also it was too long, but you could make it using like SMD boards. Like if you basically made a custom version of Xeon's, what are they called? He has a 7-segment display made out of NeoPixels. I can't remember the name. Yeah, but basically make a custom one of those. I'd like to get back to that, but I'd like to get back to a million things. So who knows? So I did mention when I was on with Braden there that I've been working on a secret project. If you are a GitHub sponsor, you'll know because I've been talking about it in the super secret project area. There is a secret project stuff in the Discord, but then if you're a supporter or a sponsor, you get a super secret project area. It's probably not, like, to be honest, I tweeted like basically the entire schematic, so like it's no super secret about it. The Neo 7, yes, you'd basically want to create a custom Neo 7. I think if I remember right, each segment has 4 NeoPixels, so you'd want to just get rid of the middle 2 and just have the outer 2, and have either a 3D printed thing or a laser cut thing if you had that means, and put the pipe in, loop it across. Yeah. We'll get you on sometime, Robin. Yeah, so yes, just participate once you're ready. Yeah, so what else have I done? Oh yeah, so I was working on that. I'm pretty sure I have it. I have this thing routed. I would pronounce it routed. Other than the power. So I'll probably be ordering it soon. It's called a Trinity. Anybody who's not a supporter want to guess what a Trinity is? There's been some clues, so you can probably guess. I'm not too precious about it. Yeah, when it comes to PCBs, I would definitely pronounce it routed. But like, I would say if I was talking about directions, I would say, what route are you taking? There's some things where I'm like that, where in certain contexts, the same word, I change how I pronounce it. Like, garage is how I would pronounce the thing attached to your house where you might keep a car. But then like if I was talking about that thing that Americans do to sell their old stuff, I would definitely pronounce it a garage sale. Yeah. Route is a noun, route is the verb. Yeah, I think you can still pronounce it differently though, right? Although they're the same, same spelling. Yes. And Trinity has a lot of different meanings, but it's not an artistic PCB. So other people were. Is it spelled as it's pronounced? Yes. Trinity. It is spelt like this. Trinity. It's not an artistic PCB at all. The Trinity thing has several meanings. Some of it is that Trinity does have kind of an Irish sort of connotation or whatever, as Mike Swan alluded to. Holy Trinity Shamrock. That's very Irish. There is a college in Ireland called Trinity College in Dublin. It's probably the most famous college in Ireland. There is another famous meaning or famous usage of Trinity that is nothing to do with Ireland, that ties it to the actual product that it is. Yeah. What else do we got? Tree Fellers. That'd be a good name for a tree surgery company, though, right? The Tree Fellers. It's not a PCB tree. Although I ordered a side-mounted version of the PCB tree after talking to Braden and Dan about some stuff. So I bought the side-mounted one, and I also made a side-mounted. Oh, actually, let me show you that one. Johnny has gotten the link that we were missing. Trinity is the lead female character in The Matrix. Oh, does it sound? Yes, this was the lock discussion. So yeah, let me share my screen, and we'll just show a couple of things, and a reminder that if anybody wants to join and show off some stuff, that is all welcome. But while it's just me, I'm going to show some stuff. Right, let me load up some things. Twitter. Share my screen. Stop showing that. Share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. I have to click so many different buttons to share a screen. Wrong screen. Okay, this is the right screen. Allow. Okay, let's go. Unlike when you're sharing or letting somebody else share, as soon as I click the share button, it pops up. So, okay, probably in here. Here we go. So I was thinking about a video that I want to work on. I haven't worked on videos in a while, so I was trying to almost storyboard out in my head the video I was going to do for a follow-up to the scrolling message board, because it was used by Smarter Every Day as part of the Project for Awesome stream. So like I was going to do a follow-up talking about kind of the features that I added since the last video I did and things like that. And as part of the video, like as part of the stream, Destin from Smarter Every Day said, this display was made by a guy in Ireland called Brian Lau, or whatever he said my name was. It wasn't Locke, anyways. And like, so if you've been following me for a while, you know that I pronounce it Locke, and you probably also know that I don't care. But I was trying to think of like jokes that I could say around that, and this one just popped into my head. I don't know. So this is I don't know if this is the one in France, but there's famously a bridge in Paris where lovers leave a lock to indicate that, you know, they have a strong bond or whatever. But like this causes huge problems for the bridge because it can't withstand the amount of extra weight of all these little locks on it. But I just thought it was this kind of funny connection of like, oh man, yeah, there's so many locks. You know, wouldn't it be funny if, you know, every time someone pronounces my name wrong, I put a lock on this bridge? It's going well so far. I probably should have worded that joke better, because literally, like, I think people just thought that they didn't see the connection between lock and L-O-U-G-H. They just thought it was a lot of something. Yeah, Brian Luff, that's a common one. Brian Lau would be the other common one too. Is Locke a common name in Ireland? I don't know anybody other than my family who have the surname Locke, but anybody in Ireland would probably pronounce it Locke because, like, do you know the way in America they would call it like Lake Michigan and Lake whatever, as in the name of a lake is prefixed with the word lake. In Ireland, the names of lakes are prefixed with Loch, spelt the way I spell my surname, and it's pronounced Loch. So Loch Ree, Loch Durrag, Loch Erne. So nobody in Ireland would pronounce it wrong, basically, because it's the lake thing. Now, if I was calling it out over the phone, if I said my name was Brian Locke, they would spell it Locke probably. So, but yeah. So it's pronounced, it should probably be pronounced more like that with its sort of a throaty sound rather than a lock with a hard K. I just hard K it. Yeah. So somebody to this this thing is spread. Yeah, it spread to Dublin as well. But somebody posted a really great picture in the replies. Where is it? Yeah, this one. Omslow Electronics. Like, look at this. We're replacing panels. Like, my dear, that's crazy. Yeah. So that is the love locks being removed. Yeah, so that's that thing. Okay, so let's stop sharing for a second. Is Loch Ness is not part of my example list. Well, Loch Ness, you see, LOCH is how they would spell it in Scotland. But we it's LOUGH for us. So if that lake was in Ireland, it would be Loch Ness, but spelt LOUGH Ness. The lock picking lawyer will remove the ball in a minute. Yeah, I'd say he gets sent that so much. Like, hey, pick this. Yeah, lock picking. The worst part is when they throw the key into the river. Yeah, actually, I could imagine. Somebody else made a funny joke as well about people throw the locks into the lake for me, and this is I can't remember now. What is it? Yes, this one. There used to be a river under that bridge, but every time someone mispronounced my name, I would throw a padlock into the river. Now the bridge isn't needed anymore. And Jacques Goodsmith? It's probably just Jack Goodsmith, isn't it? I don't know. It depends on where he is. Yeah. Mere. Yes. Okay, so let me just stop sharing for a second and I'll show you this monstrosity that I made. Let's log in. Yes, there we go. So as I mentioned, I can show you that too, actually. Yes, let's bring back the screen share. So, yes, so this is the next version of my PCB tree. So this one is made using side-mounted LEDs, and I want to see how it turns out. So the 3D viewer is probably the best way to see it. So the front looks exactly the same, but the back has the side-mounted LEDs, and the 3D viewer is this isn't Easy EDA's fault, it's my fault. I took a copy of the footprint for these LEDs and made a new component, and I offset the LED from the center down because I'll show you exactly why, but like I felt like it probably would make more sense to have it offset, because, you know, the LED is shining from the side and away. So I would have thought this would that this would illuminate it better, but I don't actually know, which leads me to the next thing that I made, which was this monstrosity. Yeah, again, let's go to the 3D viewer. Yeah, so this is basically, I want to test what is the best way of mounting these LEDs to like illuminate the circles. So I've got 9 circles here, and I've got like weird placements. So you can see I've got exposed copper here. So like I'm going to have 5 of these boards, so I can like reposition this LED to like the correct spot to see which, you know, where's the best place to put it. Because like if I just went on this one and went, oh, that doesn't work, and I'd have to move it again, order a new one, see does it work, oh, that doesn't work, move it again, and I've no scientific way to figure it out. So I made up this board to just try that out. So yeah, this one here is just, this is a fairly direct exposure under the LED. You know, it just has the exposed FRF or FR4 material here, you know, just in a line. So we'll see how kind of that works out. Then I decided to go with this much larger exposed FR4 material here. This is kind of maybe seeing how it'll work if I diffuse it with hot glue or something like that. No, I ordered them both at the same time, Unexpected Maker, just to see sort of how, like, assembling the PCB tree will not change, you know, so I just want to see what it's like to assemble or whatever, depending on the position, you know, it's not going to change. But, and also, like, it's $5 or whatever, so there's probably science that is way beyond my capabilities of doing to figure out exactly where to do it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, those ones are just about like moving it up and down and stuff and seeing how it works out. And then these ones here, it's easier to see in this view. It's me like messing around with the position of the LED. So this one's pretty centered. You know, the exposed area is pretty centered. This one is offset a bit to the bottom, and this one is way offset. Ping pong balls, it's a bit small for ping pong balls, as it would be like one ping pong ball would cover half the tree. Like, the other thing as well is, you know, it may be a possibility to put like a diffusing material like on top of the tree, or I guess this is the bottom of the tree, like isn't laser cut a diffusing material to put on top of the like bundled with this. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. If anybody has any better suggestions. So to relate how we got to this position is the original version of the PCB tree uses regular LEDs upside down. And that's quite difficult to solder. Like it's okay, you know, as in if you've done surface mount soldering before, the bottom one looks like a crying emoji. If you've done surface mount soldering before, and even I hadn't done a huge amount of it up to that point, it's okay. It takes a long time, and there's a good bit of patience needed too. and it just wasn't for everybody. Yeah, so that was that. Then the next version I went for was using purpose-built Z-bend LEDs, which are like LEDs that are designed to go upside down, like facing into the PCB, and they've got like little legs that come out from it and go back down to touch the PCB. So they're purposely designed to be upside down, and they are incredibly expensive, like 20 cent each, even in quantities of like 1,000 and stuff. So not a runner, because it just, well, maybe they're a runner, but they're just so expensive that I don't think so. Because there's 12 LEDs, and if there's, if they're 20 cent each, it's 240 before you've even like placed them. It's a lot of BOM cost in that for a trinket. We'll see. Sylvia's first soldering lesson was on a regular PCB tree. Like, that's crazy. You're terribly mean. Yeah. So this is the next stage where, okay, the Z-bend was easy to solder. It's pick and placeable if I wanted to try get them manufactured, but they're too expensive. So the side mounted LEDs are pick and placeable. They should be easy to solder. They're cheap enough, but do they work well? I don't know. That's what we'll find out. Aren't there SMD diffusers for projects like that? I don't know. Are there? I don't know the answer to that question. She smashed it. Comes out every year. Fair play to her. Yeah, the PCB tree joke. Yeah, see, like, this is another thing. Like, it doesn't make sense until you hear me pronounce it, probably. Yeah, the alarm clock is relatively easy SMD soldering. It's actually a pretty nice beginner board for SMD soldering. Glad he got on okay with it. It's a satisfying thing to solder too, because like it works as a clock afterwards, as in, you can throw the clock in someone's room and go, like, I soldered this. I've stopped selling them. I haven't like delisted them or anything, but they're difficult to kit up because I can't buy. I wasn't able to buy the 7-segment. I wasn't able to buy the 7-segment part of it too easily. I could only buy it from AliExpress. I think is a common anode or something. It's the less common of the two, the less common of the commons, and LCSE didn't stock it. They stocked like a 4-digit 7-segment display in common anode or whatever it was, but it didn't have the decimals in it. So that was a problem. But I wasn't working with Maker Fabs at the time, so like Maker Fabs had sourced that stuff for me if I wanted to. So maybe the clock will make a little outing again. I also think I have like 50 of the 7 segments in stock. So I guess I could at least sell those ones, maybe. But yeah. Oh, you had to downgrade the JSON to get it to compile. Oh yeah. Whoops. C-lock. A clock. Exactly. This is what it should be called. The clock. Again, people would be like, Clough? Clow? Yeah, so that is that. Okay, look, sure, there's 30 of you. I'm going to show you the Trinity. Don't laugh at my in progress PCB. The clog. Okay, so the Trinity is basically the I2S matrix board, but with the ESP32 built in. And yeah, I'm working on that at the moment. So it has USB-C. It has the resistors to tell it to pull whatever it can from the 5 volts. It's currently using a 340, whichever one doesn't have a crystal. What's that? It's the 340C. I'm a little bit apprehensive about that because I know Xeon had a lot of problems with one once upon a time. So we'll see. But I think the CP stuff, the 2104 is out of stock. It's end of life, and I think stock is hard to get too. Why are pin U7 shorted? Which is U7? Is the USB? Which is U7? The 2 pins. So this is not finished, by the way, as well. But where is this U7? That's USB 1. I don't know. These two. Yeah, don't blame me. Good luck getting any CP204s. Yeah, I think you bought them all, right? I'll blame you for that part. No, but I'm pretty sure you tried these out before. Yeah, and didn't you have problems with it? I can't remember though. Oh yeah, so this bottom right connector, this is a screw terminal. Do I have one second. That's this. So this is the I2S matrix board that this is basically based on. Oops. Where is the camera? Very unfocused. But basically, the reason why they're shorted is because they're both 5 volts. And I really like the look of these two, like the 2 screw terminals. Like, you know, it is labeled, but without even needing to label it, you know, red is the VCC and black is ground. But there's also another advantage of it is that, so this is the spade terminal that comes with the matrix boards, and they go, like, they're designed to go on these green ones, and that works fine. But if you need to power, like, for the Project for Awesome thing, I needed to power 4 of them, and you can only power 2 matrices off one of these cables. And so I don't think I'll be able to show you because it won't be that focused, but these spade terminals go pretty nicely into this, like, as in the screws aren't open at the moment. Where am I going? But like, they'll go in nicely into there and screw down. So it actually works out pretty nicely too. So that's why the 2 of them are connected. Yep. That's very nice of you. But like, I need it to be, you know, sustainable going forward too. Like, as in, I'm sure I could source enough 2014s to test it out, but I need it to be, sustainable. Like, you know, if I wanted to sell 50 of them. I have never done any level shifting on the matrix boards, and I've never had an issue with it, but I don't know. We'll see what we'll do going forward. But watch out. Crocs are out. The Crocs are out. I love Crocs. I would never wear them outside my property, but yeah. Hack, which allows USB to... I've never seen that hack, but like, I'd want it to be really straightforward anyways for you know, like, the idea would be that this is as easy to use as any other dev board or whatever. Yeah. So we'll see. like I do not have the. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Oh no, come back. I do not have the I2C. So this is an accelerometer module, which I guess I could make the ICE be there, but it has been useful for other things too. So I think I might just leave that as a module. That's not wired up at all, because I need to get basically all of these guys over there, and there's even a few up the top here, and I'm like, I just don't want to deal with that right now. Yeah, so we'll see. One thing I find weird about this is, like, I'm not constrained about this size. Like, I could make the board bigger if I needed to, but I don't know. Do I know of a good NFC reader IC chip? Is it good? I don't know. Let's go wrong thing again. So this is a bag of NFC modules. I think there could be like 30 of them, maybe 50 of them. I can't even remember. Because, what was this one called again? I don't know. I'll find out the name of it. But basically, if you've been following my stuff before, it was an absolute cracker of a day today, Paul. So like, I would wear shorts a lot anyways. But yeah, it was a shorts day today. Yes, that is what it's called, PN532, if I remember right. Yeah, it seems to work fine. But if you remember, I guess around this time last year, I made that Spotify display where you could boop it to change the song. My idea would be to make it like, an add-on for the I2S boards, but I just haven't got to it yet. So yeah, that's the Trinity. Work to do on it, but like, I'm kind of thinking I'd nearly order it without the this thing hooked up. Like, as in, I could order a version where I just remove that. Because there's no point me routing all that stuff if this stuff doesn't work, right? So like, I'm kind of at a position with these boards where I'm not overly worried about, like, as in, if I order a rev knowing it's going to be a prototype, I'm okay with that. Like, as in, I normally like will be ordering PCBs anyway, so it's a case of like adding another $5 plus a little bit of postage to it. This will be $5 plus a little bit of postage plus $7 for a stencil, but that's okay. Somebody said something somewhere about the ESP32. If you're going to surface mount the ESP, why not add the IMU as an SMD part also? So is that the, like, doing the chip? Oh, sorry, the IMU, I could. I think it would probably add more cost than the modules cost, and I have found having these pins broken out quite useful, because like I've done some other stuff with. Do I have anything here? Like, say, the nunchuck. Like, I have a nunchuck adapter that fits into these pads. The one that I sent to Smarter Every Day, I actually made a thing out of proto board that had like a button and a screw terminal, which gave him kind of like a panic button where if he wanted to skip whatever the next message was on Telegram, just because you can get yourself into a situation where like the ESP32 can't parse the next message because it's too big. But until it's parsed, nobody's going to tell Telegram to move on to the next one. So I just added a button that was like, just add 2 to the, like, whatever was the previous message ID that worked, add 2 onto that now, because I don't want the next one. And also it was useful for entering into config mode. Yeah, it is a large area, but like I could move it a little bit off. It's also not a problem, like is in terms of the area of the PCB. It's not a problem in terms of like, I'm not going to do anything else with that. Now, if I had more room over here, oh, sorry, I'm pointing at the wrong spot. So like, I'm not going to do anything else with this room over here. That's not important. Now, this is massive. This is the CH340, whatever. And it's huge. Like, it's only using so little of the pins as well. So I still need to hook up 3.3 volts and ground. Like, but look at all this unused pins, and it's very big. So the other thing I don't have routed is one of the LEDs. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I could add the IMU, the accelerometer directly, but I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to. I could, but I don't know. Like the other thing as well is I don't think, like, I think it's a nice feature to have this the falling sand thing, but I do not think it's crucial. Like, as in, I don't know if it should be built into the thing. Yeah. So who knows? Yeah, I kind of think that's it now. I don't know if I have anything else to show you because I haven't worked on anything else. I really could look getting some of the IMU ICs. Like, that's the thing. It's a dangerous game too. Like, so say if it's an add-on and suddenly you can't buy MPU 6050s or whatever, my board can still go out, as in you just can't. I have never used a 4-layer PCB before. I'm wondering if this should be the one where I move to. It's routed, and I'm pretty sure I'd be able to route it okay, going further on. But the 4-layer would be nice, and I don't like. It's going to be a relatively expensive product anyways, so like, I don't need to penny pinch on the PCB. I would say, like, the PCB will not be a significant increase in the cost, if at all. Like, so maybe go 4 layers for this one. I haven't done it before. It would be nice. Can Easy EDA do 4 layers? I don't know. I think so. Can it? Multi-layers, copper layers too. So yeah, you can add 2 plus. Seems like you can do up to 34. I don't think anybody's going to do a 34-layer board. Triple my PCB price. Like, yeah, it's, it's tripling the prices sounds pretty expensive. It looks like a 2-layer board to me. It is a 2-layer board at the moment, and I can probably get away with a 2-layer board. It's just, one thing I find quite challenging with PCBs like this, although this isn't like, isn't Sion's looking at this going, this is a baby project. Like, this is definitely the most involved project I've made so far, like, is in the most amount of components or whatever. One advantage I'd see with it is, like, if I'm doing like giant power traces, like maybe maybe having the 4 layers would be quite nice, because they could be as big as you'd need them to be, basically. Like, this looks like an absolute ridiculous trace, and it is pretty ridiculous, but like, these boards can draw like a couple of amps, so the bigger this trace, the better. Like, as in, it's hard to dissipate, or as in, if you go to a trace width calculator for a 1 ounce board, and you want to put a few amps through it, you'd be surprised how big your trace needs to be. So yeah. Yep. 90% of my boards are 4 layer. Yeah, I've never needed, like, I think you will get away with not going 4 layer on this even, but I've never, like, this is, as I mentioned, this is by far the most complex board I've done, which is, doesn't say a lot about me as a PCB developer. But yeah, one thing I find weird is, like, starting off as a size, like, can you turn on your back tracelers? They're on, they're just not very visible. So I've very little done on the back trace at the moment. Just sorry, your comment is in the way. Like, I've very little done on the back trace at the moment, so I do have room, but I'm also conscious that I want to leave some room for ground to get around the place too. But yeah, like, I have room to rock, like, as in, the only blue that's on the board at the moment is this area here, and then this area here. So there's room. Will I go 1 ounce or 2 ounce? I'll probably stick with 1 ounce. I don't think I'll need to go any higher. Moving to 2 ounce is quite expensive. Put massive VDD flood fills on the back left. Yeah, probably could. Probably could. Excuse me. Now, I still need to get stuff over here, so we might have to do something with that. But yeah, so this is my work in progress. No idea what I'm doing, but we'll see. Like, I kind of feel like, as I was saying, I feel like I should nearly just finish it off, and even if it's not perfect, knowing that I'm going to do another revision, maybe not even connecting this, just to test that everything is right in terms of, configuration, and then you can tweak the next board or whatever. But yeah, like, ignore all labels and stuff. I've done no tidying up of this whatsoever. Like, even some of this stuff mightn't be in its final resting position, especially these things over here. But yeah, I don't know. it was one of the first times I was really like, I don't know where to put anything. Yeah. So, but this is wired up, so that's nice. It's basically the I2S matrix shield, Mark, that controls the it's basically this, but without the dev board. Where's the dev board? There. Without the dev board, and what's on the dev board is on the PCB, and they're for controlling those RGB LED matrix panels. I'm conscious about saying RGB because people think I'm saying orgy. The ground label really triggers you. Which ground label? I don't know, as I've done nothing to do with labels or anything, so I don't know. GND. Like, I haven't manually written anything, but is that just this thing here is the net name, isn't it? That was just kind of the default one. Oh, sorry, this one. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is actually just this is a built-in one. So it doesn't look like that on Where's the I2S matrix shield? See, I've it labeled right for you in the I2S matrix shield. So you can see with this, I have it way off the board. So I could do something similar to that again. But yeah, as you can see, this one is a little bit cleaner. It's nice. Like even stuff like the USB stuff is up here. Oh, sorry, I was showing you all this stuff. So here is the I2S matrix shield. So you can see it's correctly labeled here. But it's funny, like you can see the amount of traces I have going over here or whatever. Like there's no big load of USB stuff up here, so it was a much nicer, like the amount of hops I have of like vias or whatever is very few. Like I was able to avoid having a lot of vias or whatever just because of the way the board is, so that's fine. Like the vias I do have are nearly all for stitching, like as in stitching ground around the place. But yeah. Yep. Oops. Yeah. 6-pin BGA. No, thank you. Yeah. So that's the Trinity. Where is it? This is the Trinity. This will be an open source board. I'm almost certain. I think this could potentially be a nice one to open source, but we'll see. Another idea I have for it, and I had this idea before it even happened, but somebody sent me a message today that they got one of these things from Tindy, and whatever way so what you do is you drop this into the connector on the matrix, but whatever way their connector is in relation to the like edge of the matrix or whatever, they can't push it in fully because the PCB is in the way of the plastic of the edge of their matrix. So BitLooney had this problem on like one of the first versions of my ESP8266 PX matrix board, and it like how he got around it was he got like an extension IDC cable and he plugged that into here, into the connector, and then plugged that into the board. But they're both hard to find and very expensive. So what like some people who make these type of boards do is they, instead of putting a connector that drops into the matrix like this, they put like a male or female connector on the top of it, and then they use a ribbon cable to go from there to the board. And I was thinking that it might be a nice idea to have the option of doing either, like 16-pin IDC female connectors are cheap. They're like 15 cents. So like maybe you do a surface mount male one at the bottom and a surface mount female one on the top. So it gives you the option of both. I don't know about the surface mount female one on the bottom though. Like if that would be strong enough, because it does take a bit of abuse. But it's an interesting idea because it gives you a kind of unique selling point of like, I am super confident this will work on your matrix in terms of physically fitting in it. So I don't know. What color are the LEDs on the Trinity? Well, they're not any color at the moment. I just put in like 1K resistors, like regardless of what 1K current limiting resistors, regardless of the color. Like, I know you should probably be calculating them, but I don't care. Yeah, so I haven't picked a color for that yet. I guess it could be anything. What size are they? 0402. Are they? I don't see it there. Yeah, 0402. Everything's 0402 that I could fit, because that's the smallest I can hand assemble. So if I wanted to build a prototype, I could build a prototype using 0402. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for me. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. So we had Larry first, or Mr. Optimization, showing the price tags things. Then we had Braydon, showing his port prog and the kind of approaches he's taken with that. And then after that, we had Andrew showing his super cool Zoom background, except it's not a Zoom background, it's real life. It's funny, like, so the camera is up high and pointing down, and you can see a big mess. When I'm in work on these Zoom calls or whatever, I always use my laptop, which points up, so the mess is invisible for them. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, so thank you so much to those guys for joining. I think I'll probably be doing Saturdays going forward. Just Monday was too difficult to organize it in time. So yeah, is there a MakerCast next week? Yes. So next week, not tomorrow, which would be when it would usually be, but it's postponed, I guess you would say, till the 11th of April, and it will be on Unexpected Makers channel. But yeah, so MakerCast not tomorrow, but in 8 days' time. And if you're in Australia, it'll be on the 12th, Monday morning. Starting at 6 a.m. Yeah, so poor Sion during the summer time, for us, presumably, like I don't know, I had this thought of, it's weird that he would say July is winter, but it is, right? Yeah, during the summertime for us, we have daylight savings that move the clock forward, and he has daylight savings that move the clock back. So while we're 10 hours apart for 6 months of the year or whatever, I think we're 12 hours apart, and we're more, right? But yeah, it does not work out well for him during the summer. So his streams are at like 6:30 in the morning and stuff like that, which is so poor Sion. Yeah, I reckon when we were first chatting, Sion, it must have been like very back in the day, first chatting. It must have been during the winter time first, because I think we had decent overlap, but now, like, yeah, we don't have great overlap at the moment. Yeah, so all right, that is it for me, everybody. I will talk to you again. Mark is going to come next Saturday and show us something fun. Awesome. I look forward to it. And hey, with any luck, maybe I'll have done something too. Yeah, so all right. Thank you, everybody. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye. I'll look at the camera even. Bye.